Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to be discussing your MAU, or monthly active users. This is the distinct count of customers that interact with your online business on a monthly basis. As you can tell, we're doing that analysis behind me, but there's something wrong. On the right hand side, you'll notice that for the month of September 2024, that the count of MAU drops dramatically. And that's because it's an incomplete or partial month. So the date of this recording is September 9, 2024, which means that the month of September 2024 is incomplete. So how do we fix this? So we're gonna fix this by slightly changing the MAU metric to do a count over a trailing 30 days. So this is great because if we use a rolling 30-day MAU, then we're not gonna have to wait for a month to be fully complete to calculate this very important metric. So I'll show you how to do that now in MySQL. Okay, here we are in MySQL. The most important table is having a table of customer logins, which is right there. So it has every customer and their login date or interaction with your online business. The other table we need is just a table of dates. So what we're going to do is join these two tables together, and I will show you how. We can call this dates right here. And we're going to do a left join over to the logins table. And let's call this table logins. So we have the dates table, and then we have the logins table. And we'll do where the logins date is less than or equal to this date right here, or every individual date in this date column from this date table. And the login date has to be greater than 30 days in the past from the date value in the date table. So let me set up these columns now. So we're interested in the date, obviously. And then from the logins table, we just want to do a count distinct of customers that have interacted on that date and over the trailing 30 days. So it'll be on that date and the trailing 29 dates for a total of 30 dates. So this will be our MAU metric right here. And then I'm going to show you a little trick that's going to add some protection or guardrails to this query, which is, if you notice, if we take a really early date, September 7, 2022, this date is so early that there aren't any dates previous or historical or trailing to this date. So because of that, it's going to come up empty. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that when we do this type of analysis, that for each day, we did have a full trailing 30 days of data. So anytime you do any sort of trailing analysis or forward-looking analysis, you always have to make sure that you have enough data. So what we are going to do is do a count distinct of these dates right here. You can call this trailing days. And for example, when we calculate this for this date right here, this value is just going to be 1. It's going to say, hey, the only date that I see is this date, September 7, 2022, because of this part of the join, where the login date is less than or equal to this date. So the less than or equal to part includes this date. So the trailing days value will be 1 here, right? And then as we move forward into our data source, it'll go 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 30. And once we're at 30, we know that we have a sufficient number of trailing dates to actually successfully calculate the mal metric. So let's go over this really quick. We have a table with a column of dates, and more importantly, we have a table of customer logins. We're saying when the customer login date is less than or equal to this date, and that login date is greater than 30 days ago from that date in the date table, then do a count distinctive customers, thus creating that mal metric. And then we're also counting the number of distinct days and only building our analysis when that value hits 30. Okay, we're ready to execute this query now. Okay, everybody, here is our data. It's outputted here in MySQL. Let's take a quick look. We have the date, we have the count of customers over that date and the trailing 29 days, which would be a total of 30 days, which would be our mal metric, and then the number of trailing days. So this is great. Whenever the number of trailing days is less than 30, it means we don't have enough trailing days of data to fully calculate MAU. So let's take this over to Excel. Okay, here's the same data in Excel. So just going back to this trailing days column, you can see here that these dates are too early. We don't have enough trailing days. The trailing days value is less than 30. But once we get to October 6, 2022, we have a full trailing 30 days of data to successfully calculate MAU. And then you can see that any date on or after October 6, 2022 has that same trailing 30 days of data that we need. So we're good. So let's build that same analysis. The chart is pretty simple, just a basic histogram. And there we are. I think this is a really great workshop because it shows if you have any metrics that are weekly, monthly, or annual, what you can do is instead of waiting for the week to finish or the month to close out or for the year to close out, all you need to do is just convert that metric into a rolling metric and say, I'm going to look at the last 365 days or the last 30 days for monthly metrics or the last 7 days for weekly metrics. So this is just one example that you can apply to your other metrics and succeed in making sure that your reporting doesn't stop because you're waiting for a month or a week or a year to close out. I hope you found this useful. Please continue to like and subscribe.